Welcome, lovers of retro games, to the castle of grime and shame. Join us now for drinks, gaming and more. For this is Play Expo Blackpool 2024. So this is the earliest I've ever been inside Play Expo. There's not many people in at the moment. A lot of the arcade machines are all free, as in no one's using them yet. I think I'm going to make my way to the Traders Hall to see if I can find any games on my list. I've got 3 games left to find on that list from, I think it was February, Leeds Gaming Market. But yeah, this is the first time I've seen Play Expo so empty, because everyone's still outside queuing. I think they just started letting people in now. So I'm going to make my way to the Traders Hall.
Sale of the day. Nice quick shot.
Nice. Is that the one that they used to spray gold for Games Master? That model?
It might well.
Because it was a quick shot.
Yeah, micro switch as well. Amstrad compatible.
Nice. How much was that?
Tenner.
Bloody hell, not bad.
Yeah, there's another one there.
Oh.
It's got a little bit of a mark on the front.
Let's have a look.
Just there. You might be able to get that off.
Oops. Love that Amiga. How much is Outrun 3D?
I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
But then we'll have to grab it because I can't reach from over there.
Oop.
There we go.
100. Okay. Cheers.
No worries.
What is that? Oh, is that Sega Mark III? Playing Fantasy Zone 2. Oh dear. Some corrupt graphics on Parasol Stars on the NES. The classic Robotector. Another Sega Mark III, playing Zaxxon. And the tiniest CRT I've ever seen. Hooked up to a Binatone.
Subterranea coming on?
Oh, so that was actually the very first commercial project I did. So I was still in college at the time, and I'd done some work with a guy called Hewson. He was the programmer behind Subterranea, but he was also an artist, and we'd done like this Airwolf demo. He'd drawn a picture of Airwolf and I'd done some music, and he was working on a game as well, and I think he'd signed it to Hewson Racket label, which was like the Hewson budget label. And he phoned me up and he said, "Will you do the music for it?" And so this was like the first time it was the first ever time I got paid for doing some music, and I did it in one night, and I got a few hundred quid or something. But my mum was like, "How much have you paid? You only did one night." It was quite amazing.
So we're talking about Ocean, so we've got to talk about Platoon, if that's okay. That game did very well. You're working then on like a massive film franchise. You've been written about in Zap 64, which presumably you were a reader of because you ended up.
Yes.
What was just fill me in on what?
Well, I think the first project I did when I got there was Basketmaster, but it was a really short project. I think Martin was supposed to have already done it, but he'd left, so it was a bit of a rush job. So I had to knock that out quite quick with it. So it was a bit of a baptism of fire.
It's really good though. I was listening to it the day before yesterday, and the game doesn't deserve that music at all.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. But yeah, so Platoon was the first sort of project I had really at Ocean Software. So this was like an opportunity for me to make a mark, if you like. So I was really pleased. The thing with Ocean games, as you probably all remember, is that they were all multi-loaders. So it wasn't just one tune for a game. It was like 6 or 7 pieces of music for a game. So at the time, we didn't have a lot of time to knock this stuff out. So it was a good project. I liked it.
So I don't know if you know this, but Platoon was voted, just some more of my research here.
Okay.
Was voted one of the best Commodore 64 tracks of all time. Did you know that?
I think I've heard that before.
Oh, forget it. So
There's no new news with retro.
look, don't give up on me now. I've got loads more to come. Don't give up on me, Jonathan. So we talked about Platoon, big movie franchise. We've got to then, I suppose, go to RoboCop.
Okay.
You probably know what's coming here. So the specky music, on the opening screen is just so iconic and sensational. And then when you hear it on the Game Boy, it sounds amazing. Like it's worth just playing it and carrying the Game Boy around for people to hear. Were you aware there's something special about that track?
At the time, I wasn't really. So in my mum's restaurant, she had a piano. She had a piano, and at the end of the day, I used to just, when no one was there, I used to tinker around with it. And that sort of that riff,
That's join it.
Oh,
Oh, he loves it. Keep going.
so that riff, I kind of just played around on the piano, and I came up with that. And then when I went back into the office, I sort of built everything around that thing, and it just sort of happened. And I guess it's the one piece of music that has the kind of biggest life, because people are still doing things with it. I saw a thing online that I think it's Noah Khan or something. I think he's like a music producer in LA, and people write into him and say, "Oh, you need to look at this piece of music," and he does that kind of. He's never heard it before, and then he does like a live analysis, and he writes it down on sheet music. Like, "Oh, this is amazing! What he's doing here! Oh, he's doing all these things." But I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was just playing around on my piano and came up with this thing,
But something which you couldn't do on that piano though is something which I think is quite distinctive with the track. It has a kind of, it's almost like a pitch bending. It's got this kind of, is it pitch? I know it's.
I have no idea what you're doing.
But it's got this kind of wobulator type sound in there, which I don't know, just sounds so fantastic on the AY, and it's part of what's so unique about it. That you're going to tell me the more.
I'm not really following it.
Okay.
Does everybody else know what he's on about?
It was going so well. Do you know what I'm on about? Where it goes?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
What did he say?
Cheers, pal. You can stay. Thank you for that. So you must be very proud of that track, but does it kind of haunt you in the same way? Jean-Michel Jarre doesn't like playing Tubular Bells anymore.
No, I don't.
No, good.
I like it.
Jean-Michel Jarre, Tubular Bells. Mike Oldfield in Tubular Bells.
Alright, you can leave. You can stay. Thanks. Don't tell me I'm wrong. My wife will do it. Don't worry. So I've managed to get this far without mentioning the washing machines.
Yeah.
Now that's not bad. I've got 23 minutes without mentioning the washing machines.
Yeah, said don't go away.
Okay, here we go. Let's go in on this one now. So, when did you first hear that your song was on a washing machine advert, and when did the money start rolling in?
I think they all know the answer to this. I was still at Ocean, and it wasn't long after the release of the Game Boy version that this sort of happened. So the story I've been told about this, because I remember at the time Gary Bracey just coming into my room and saying, "Oh, somebody wants to put your music on an advert," and we said yes. This was it. And I didn't think anything of it. And then next thing, it's all over TV all the time. It's like the comic strips in like The Observer or something talking about it, and it's quite a big thing. But apparently, what happened is Ocean just thought that this was like a great marketing opportunity, and they just signed it away. Ocean didn't even get any money for it.
Wow.
So nobody got any money for it. So, which is kind of better than Ocean getting all the money and not sharing it with me. So that's. Since then, I do actually own all the publishing and copyright for all my catalogue of music. So I still do get money from RoboCop because it's used all over the place, but it's not very much. Maybe a cheap holiday every year or something.
Maybe a nice weekend at the Norbreck.
I think it could probably just about stretch to that.
Did they? I don't know. Did Did they send you a washing machine or?
No, I didn't get anything from Aristotle. No.
Okay, well, I'm sure if you went on eBay, you could pick one up. So, you're working simultaneously on the Commodore 64 and the ZX Spectrum. I know we've got some people here into this. What was the difference between working on the AY chip versus the SID chip? Like, what was the pros and?
I mean, the SID chip was much more advanced. Really, it was like a proper synthesizer. The Spectrum, I'd never worked on the Spectrum at all before going to Ocean, and one of the requirements in my job is when I first started, I was just a Commodore 64 musician, and then suddenly I was like, oh, we need this on the Spectrum, but you can do it, can't you? It was literally like that. So I used to, because all the music was done in assembler, and all the music was typed into data statements, like C4 for 2 frames, all this kind of stuff. So, and back then we didn't have any way of automatically porting stuff to different machines. So I would literally take these data statements, copy them to the Spectrum version, and then go through making them work. Yeah. Because it was a totally different driver, it was much more limited, you only had square waves. You had a better noise channel on the Spectrum. But the Spectrum had a sort of a unique sound that I learned to love a bit, really. It's something, it's a Spectrum kind of thing. The AY chip was sort of like that.
Yeah, it's almost like the SID's got a kind of fuzzy sound, and the AY is a bit more boingy.
Yeah.
So 1990, you start working on these fancy new 16-bit machines, Amigas, Atari STs. When they arrived, were you like, yeah, get in?
Well, I never really did that much on the Amiga and ST. I did a little bit of stuff.
I never did operation.
Yeah, I know I worked on them. I never did any coding on them. We were using, I can't even remember where the drivers came from. I mean, the ST was different because it was basically an AOI chip and Spectrum. But we had some samples and stuff. But I only did a few, and they sort of passed me by a little bit, really. Because I think at the time, because Ocean we didn't really have any people in-house to do all the Amiga and ST versions of these games anyway. Most of the guys were still doing Spectrum and Commodore stuff. So they just started using external teams a bit more. So they were also doing the music, if you like.
And was that the same case when the SNES came along and you were doing things like Adam's Family and stuff? Was that?
Well, no. By the time the SNES came along, like the guys that were then working on the Spectrum and the Commodore 64, they were ready for a change. So they were sort of encouraged to move on to the SNES version. So. Adam's Family was the first project I did on SNES.
Another big film as well, big film franchise.
It was a big film. I'm really proud of the music on Adam's Family because it was very limited because it's a sample-based machine, but back then we had to send all the samples that we wanted. We had to put them onto a DAT tape and send it off to Nintendo, and then they'd send us back the encoded versions of those samples. Right. So there was no way I experimented with what they were going to sound like in the end, and you'd have to go, what sound effects do we need for this game? Well, I think we're going to need this and this and this. So we'd send it off to Nintendo and it'd come back, and then that's it. Because it was such a long process that you just have to work with what you had.
Did you have to develop? I read somebody had to develop an actual sound driver for the.
Yeah, I ended up. It was a sort of. It started off as the version that Nintendo supplied, but it was so heavily modified. By the time I got to sort of Jurassic Park and stuff, it was really quite a complex piece of code. It was great.